All right, we're here to Fancast our upcoming book, The Sylvan Hotel. It is a coming of age story set in Seattle in the 90s. It is heartfelt, it is sweet. There's a will they, won't they. It's in this beautiful, like mahogany and leather hotel. Like, it is about the people who are working there. So, our main character is Joanne, and I think Lola Tongue. So she is famous from The Summer I Turned Pretty, and that's a coming of age story. She is very good at yearning, she's very good at longing, but she can also be like funny and sweet and a great friend.
Personally put Olivia Rodrigo just because she is Filipina, Irish, and German, exactly like how Joanne is in the book. And I was like, there we go. The representation is right there.
I was also thinking Eva Noblezada, who's famous from I believe it's Hadestown. Um, I don't know. I thought that'd be fun. I was also looking at Olivia Rodrigo or Vanessa Hudgens. Also had like she's also Filipino, Irish, and German, so it lines up with exactly how Joanne like identifies in the book.
I casted Lana Candor because she was the lead in the P.S. I Still Love You movies once those got moved. And she is also very good at the yearning and is very sweet and also a good friend. So when I think of like a romance of a coming of age sort of situation, I think of her.
I put Havana Rose Lou because I love her. And I have not seen her as like the leading lady of anything. And I think that she would be great. Um, and yeah, I think she's just like, she's a very cool kind of person, but I think she could really do the character justice.
Is there a way to come to consensus? My gut feeling is since multiple people were thinking about Olivia Rodrigo, I would be more than happy to put her in there. I love her. Do other people have strong feelings that we gotta keep their person?
I do like Olivia Rodrigo. I really like the idea of Havana Rose Lou. Like I didn't even think about that, but I love her.
We'll have runners up for every category. Okay, the next character that I have is for Catherine. And this is the one that I will fight the least hard for. In my head, like, Catherine is someone who is like, wise beyond her years, like an old soul, and also someone who's like, kind of has like auntie or like, like the mom of the group energy. And I couldn't think of a Gen Z actor who I felt like fit that mold, but I love Sadie Sink, and I think she can do anything.
Personally want to see Iowa Debris as Catherine just because I think she just has such a comforting feeling on screen. Like, I love her. And when I was doing this, I was like, one way or another, we're getting her into this cast because she's just phenomenal. And she also has that sort of like 90s look to her. When she did that Julia Roberts homage with the suit, I was like, that is a woman who was meant to be in Hollywood 30 years ago. Like, I love her.
I also feel like I kind of need to just take back what I'm gonna say because, like, yeah, I completely agree. And it, like, yeah, I need that. I also couldn't, like, in my head, when I was reading it at first, Catherine was blonde, but I think I was making, like, every character blonde. So I don't know where that came from. But I had Lily Reinhart. But honestly, I think it might just be the ponytail in Riverdale that she rocked every episode.
Um, I also was like feeling somewhat indifferent about Catherine, but she was described as being like kind of preppy and perfect, but then there's also like not like other girls because she doesn't like dresses and she doesn't like to be fancy and stuff like that. Um, I picked Dove Cameron because I think it would be funny and because that is like sort of initially what I was imagining because I was also imagining very like blonde. But I feel like Janet's pick is really solid and I would change my answer for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I picked Diana Silvers. Um, Partly because I rewatched Booksmart and then I was like, she was in my mind. Um, but yeah, I like Janet's choice, I wanna say. So I'm kind of going with that.
Yeah, I think we have reached consensus. That is the correct choice.
Ayo Debris.
Is our Catherine for the Sylvan Hotel fan cast. For Robert, I really wanted someone who could do like kind of grungy skater boy, like kind of a slacker, but endearing and also gorgeous. Like gorgeous was a big deal for me. So I chose Pharaoh Wunate. He was in Reservoir Dogs. He was also in this great indie coming of age story called Fitting In. Like the cheekbones alone, he's gorgeous. That is a gorgeous person. I could picture anyone falling in love with him. And I do think, like the style that he's already brought to projects, I'm like, yes, that is a 90s grunge aesthetic. Give me give me Pharaoh, please. Please.
I can get behind this. I personally
Okay.
casted Jonathan Davis, who you guys would have seen from the Outer Banks cast, and to me, he just gives off tall, dark, and handsome in a very like tame kind of way. Like he's just kind of a little mysterious, but I don't know, I just think that he could do it. He's got this charm that's just, how can you not love him? He's so handsome. Like,
And I want to clarify very quickly that you're not talking about the Jonathan Davis, who is the American singer-songwriter, who first came up on my Google search. Au contraire, you are talking about Jonathan Davis, the American actor. Just because like when it first came up, I was like, no, that's not who yeah, I'm talking about. I know it.
Okay, I'm starting to wonder if I just read Robert's character wrong, but I also went for a bit of like a grunge kind of skater. If you guys have seen Psych, I'm thinking a young James Roday Rodriguez for David. I think he's just got that like suave, like skater, like boy next door kind of. Like he's like a little bit unreachable, but he's also like can joke around with you, and I think he could do Robert's like silly but hot like character.
I needed help with this one, but we came to the consensus of Jacob Elordi, who was recently in Saltburn and is like the new hot guy right now, I believe. And I feel like he also has that sort of grungy look and he's very goofy, but also Robert is written to be like very mischievous and to have a sort of like a healthy helping of mischievousness and like kind of trickster energy with like being super helpful and supportive to Joanne. So that's what I picked.
Okay, I feel like this was the hardest one for me because to me, I was like, I think that he's Paul Mescal, but I do think that like the age doesn't seem quite right to me. So I was like, I don't know, but I do think that was my best Robert pick.
I wasn't thinking about ages, so that might play a role in how we choose. I was like, perfect universe, they're all the same age, it's perfect. So
It's a fan cast. We can literally do whatever we want. All right, this is one that I don't feel like there's there's not an obvious consensus. Does anyone feel swayed by anyone else's suggestion?
see, Jacob Elordi and Paul Mescal are my top two celebrity crushes, but I just don't feel like they fit here, unfortunately. I was also thinking about them. But Maggie, I think I like yours the best. I mean, I like mine,
Yes!
but
Yours is great.
I have
Yours is great. Yours is excellent. I love it. Look, if you haven't watched Reservation Dogs, did I say Reservoir Dogs earlier? If you haven't seen Reservation Dogs, it's like one of the greatest pieces of television that has ever been made, and certainly in our current time. It's a Hulu show. Highly recommend. You'll see. He's funny. He's a trickster. And he could, cut your heart in half with those cheekbones. All right. The next character for our fan cast is Kelly. Kelly is the way I remember her, and I feel like I'm the person who's read this book the least recently, is I remember her as being a little scrappy, like she comes from like a working class background, and crucially, is a lesbian. So I was like, I really want a queer actor. Everyone's giving me a face. She's the one who says that I love you. Who is she?
Lynn.
In my
who's the
understanding,
one
she's a sorority girl. She's like an ex-sorority girl.
What have I done? What have I done for all of us? Here's the bad news. I don't have a Kelly cast. So the good news is, Janet, you have one less person to fight against.
Well, in my opinion, if anyone in this movie is blonde, it's this girl. And I didn't want to pick one of the blonde actresses that we know and love that like very obviously has like Gen Z face. So I went with this lovely young woman named Catherine Newton, who I think has a beautifully classic 90s look, a sorority girl look, but you can tell that she kind of wants to break out of what she's previously been classified as.
I also think Kelly's blonde. This is another age blind casting because I just see Kelly so much as Hayden Panettiere, however you say her last name. There's a specific picture of her that I found where she just kind of is giving like cheerleader, and I just see that so much for Kelly. But I do agree, like I really think Kelly is blonde.
For this one, I actually said Sadie Sink for some reason. I was like, I
I'm
also
honored.
just kind of think that she can do anything, but also she's like, I believe it's Kelly that sort of is inviting Joanne out to these like grunge bars and stuff. So she does have like kind of an edgier side, and she's like very um upbeat, I guess, and I feel like that's something Sadie Sink can embody, yeah. But I don't know what she can do, so.
I, for Kelly, had Sophie Thatcher, who is blonde, or maybe not naturally blonde, but blonde. And I was like, I feel like she could do that kind of like preppier thing, but then also I would love for her to go kind of like Seattle grunge as it goes on. And I think she could really pull that off.
Does anyone feel very passionately about their casting, or did anyone feel really swayed by anyone else's?
I don't have a strong feeling. I think it's funny that everyone thought she was blonde because the book says that she has amber colored hair. So.
Which
I
is
missed
why
that.
Sadie Sink, which is why Sadie Sink is a very good choice. Like she's similar to the real life Sophie Thatcher, who is not in fact a blonde, but her persona is a blonde persona. All right. Do people feel good about Sadie Sink being our Kelly? Not our Kelly, not our Kelly. Never our Kelly. Never our
Never
Kelly.
R. Kelly.
Never. Do people have castings for Lainey? Okay, cool. So I will now do my Lainey casting. Again, Lainey, from my memory, working class background, uh, a little bit more rough and tumble, uh, a lesbian. So I really wanted a queer actor to play this part. And I decided that Lachlyn Watson, who is the queer friend on Sabrina, that was my choice.
I feel like I was focusing so much on looks,
Great.
which this seems a little silly now. I had Sammy Hanratty from Yellow Jackets. I was just really going off of looks, and Lynn is said to have like kind of brown blonde hair. And then I kind of imagine her having like a rounder, like softer face, and I think like you also like the actor you chose is Lachlan Watson has that similar like those round features. So I think I'm more partial to your casting, especially if we're going more literal and like acting talent. Or well, okay, not to say that Sammy is untalented, but just for this specific project.
Look, if you watch Yellow Jackets and you see, like, she plays young Missy, if you see her on social media, that is a 180 transformation. I think that Sammy is very, very talented, but also I think that Lachlan is, is a really good choice.
I did not cast her. But I agree with Maggie's choice. I feel like that fits, so.
Thank you.
I also did not cast her, but I'm also down with that.
So the next person on my list who we're gonna do our fan cast of is Bill. And Bill is, like Robert, another one of the valets. Bill and Catherine, I would say they have like a romantic tension, but Catherine never really reciprocates. It just might be like a little bit of a workplace flirtation for her. And so he has to be someone that's a little doofy, like someone who doesn't really have his life together, but also someone who's really endearing and sweet. And I went with, and I'm gonna butcher his last name, I'm so sorry. I want to say Holo, but but with an X. So like, I would say it's Zolo, but I think it's Holo Mari Duena. So he's the lead in like, oh shoot, the Netflix show that's karate, but it's a remake of The Karate Kid. What is that? The Serpent. Anyways, he was also the lead in, yes, Cobra Kai. Thank you. And then he was also the lead in like the Blue Beetle DC movie. I think he's funny. I think he can do serious.
I casted Charlie Plummer. He was in the live action adaptation of Looking for Alaska, and in the book, he's described as like being younger than the rest of the guys, and he's got this like Ethan Hawke meets Patrick Swayze look, with like this whole skater boy vibe, and I think that he gives that.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I think, Maggie, you might be thinking of Todd. Bill is.
Did I do this again?
Sorry.
Yo, I'm sorry. I really have been the one that I've like read the most recently.
Well, I didn't have very strong feelings about Bill's character. I honestly was just like, Ethan Hawke, sure, he's described as being similar, but I actually really like the idea of Charlie Plummer. I think he has that like kind of innocent but like crazy look to him that I think Bill kind of needs.
Charlie Plummer, now that I'm looking at him, does make a lot of sense. My initial like feeling about him was that he like wasn't that attractive, or like didn't have like kind of an awesome vibe to him, which is why he has to be like kind of the bad boy, and he drinks Jaeger and he's like very pushy and very confident. I picked Nat Wolf, which is a really random pick, but there's this one photo of him with like kind of a reddish background, and I was like, that's totally Bill. But it's based on that one picture, not anything else I know about that man. So
I chose, okay, I also am not totally sure how to pronounce his last name, Fred Hetchinger, who I guess I know from White Lotus, I think, or was he in that? Yeah. But I feel like he was kind of what I pictured Bill to look like.
I personally, as someone who apparently has no skin in this game, would like to do I think Charlie Plummer, like that hits really, really well. Okay. Janet, you get it. Charlie Plummer. The character who I was trying to cast for, Fred, Bill, not
Todd?
Bill.
Todd.
I would like to formally suggest my casting be considered, though I know that none of you can compete with me. So Todd,
I totally agree with your casting. I like that one a lot.
Thank you. All right, so
Zolo Maridueña, probably. Or Holo Maridueña.
Is the perfect Todd. Done. Casted. Sorry you guys didn't get a chance to choose, but I probably still would have won. All right. Next character we are casting is Connor. So Connor is someone he's a businessman. Like Joanne and him are having kind of weird conversations where it's like, is this networking or is he being a creep? And so I wanted someone that had like a level of slickness to him. And I didn't want him to be, I wanted him to be a little cute, because otherwise, why would she be having these combos with him? But I also wanted someone who could who could, because they're good at acting, portray a level of sleaze. And so my fan cast is Miles Teller. I like your face, Sophie, because you agree that would be a good cast. But I'm happy to hear other suggestions.
Hot take, I think Miles Teller is a little bit too young. I saw this character as being like, established in the business. He's this VIP. He's this like elite businessman that's staying at this hotel like all the time. So clearly he's, built his money, built his empire. I saw him as Eric Dane. And the reason why I chose Eric Dane is if we saw him in Euphoria preying on the teenagers, he definitely has like that DILF vibe, but it's like in a sinister way. And so I think he would just be like the perfect guy to come in there. Like McDreamy is in the past, it's just all like old man sleaziness now.
Yeah, I this is one I feel a little strongly about. Um, I also looked up DILF actors when I was trying to cast this. Um, so I landed on Anthony Starr from The Boys. I just think he like is the right amount of like charismatic but a little bit sleazy and like the right amount of like attractive, and I just see him having like a thinner face and like that kind of like mousy medium brown hair that's graying a little. I also see Patrick something who plays Mike in Suits like right now, like how he looks. I just yeah, I don't know, but I think Anthony Starr is who I would pick. But I do like Eric Dane. Like looking at his pictures, I can see that as well. Like he's got the sleazy DILF look in his eye.
I feel like Sophie, that's a pretty strong pick. Like Anthony Starr does have that very like put together business man kind of vibe. I also was like when we started the fan cast, I knew this one was the first one that I knew. And I think I picked Walton Goggins from the third season of White Lotus because to me, he's just like this sort of like he's a very laid back in his business manners. Like they have like three or more dinners together before he actually even gets to the point about anything. And then the whole time you're like, is this character nice? Are his intentions good? Or is he just like being slimy and creepy? So Walton Goggins was the one that came to mind for me.
I also went older. I went with Dermot Mulroney, because I feel like he can be both kind of sleazy and also kind of like likable. And so I feel like he could really toe that line of like what is this guy's vibe?
Okay. Before we debate, I would just like to make a comment about how we as a society are broken. So Olivia Rodrigo, our dream cast, is 22. Miles Teller is 38. He is, in fact, I'm not mad. I'm not mad at any of you. I just think, in terms of Hollywood casting, I think you're right. I don't think that like it would have come across if it's like this guy's too old for her because this is like we're broken. It is funny to me that someone needs to be 49, 52, 53, or 61 for us to be like that's too old. That's too old for that 22-year-old. I am willing to let the actually too old for her casting choice go. That's fine. Did anyone feel like moved by anyone else's argument? Janet?
I like my choice.
I know. No, I can, they all work really well. All right. I'm going to say that the current iteration of Dermot Mulroney, slightly too old. So I'm taking that out. Slightly too old. All right, Eleanor, since I eliminated yours, who are you leaning towards?
It's really hard. I don't know. There's a part of me that feels like maybe it's just all I'm thinking about is Euphoria, but the Eric Dane is a little too scary. And I know he's probably actually can be not scary, but
Okay. All right. So if he is eliminated, then Janet, you get to choose between Walton Goggins and Anthony Starr.
I think I'm gonna have to choose Anthony Starr just because I feel like Walton is a little too bald. He's like not attractive enough to me. I'm sorry.
Like
I'm sorry.
everything you were saying, Badger, I was like, yes, he can do that character. But I do think there needs to be a level of dreaminess to him. Yeah, and like again, thinking about like age mixing. The older you get, the more like hot ugly becomes a thing for you. Sorry. Something to look forward to, I guess. And like for me, like I'm like Walter Goggins, he can grow on me. But like Anthony Starr, nah, he's already there. You don't have to grow. He's there. Uh, that was difficult. I thought everyone brought their A game, and I am sorry to everyone besides Sophie, and congratulations, Sophie, you get this cat. The last person who we are casting is the manager of all of the Sylvans. So she is older. She is described as having a silver bob. She's someone who kind of comes across like she like will be like, you need to smile, Joanne, but she also can be kind of funny and like I feel like she's described as like having good style. And there are a lot of incredible actresses, like, Golden Years actresses who I think would be great. I ultimately decided on Allison Janney. So I originally saw her in The West Wing, but more recently she was like the mom in the Tanya Harding movie. Like she's freaking gorgeous. But I could also see her, but I also think she could turn on the saccharine-ness of being like, show your teeth, Joanne. And she was also the stepmom in Juno. I'm just like, I feel like all the roles that I've known her in, I'm like, she could do it. She could do it really well.
I simply do not see this character as any other woman besides Michelle Yeoh.
Oh, that would be good. That would be good.
This is another one, like, I feel strongly about, but I also can be swayed. I think it's Jane Fonda. Like, I just think she's got the presence and the humor, and, like, she's kind of, like, a little bit condescending, but, like, she's honest, and she already has the silver bob.
My pick for this one was Catherine O'Hara, because I feel like between being the mother in Beetlejuice and her beautiful presence as Moira Rose in Schitt's Creek, I feel like the fashion and the hairstyle and the condescending ability, that's my pick. I feel like that's the one.
Okay, my pick was Rita Moreno, who I love. Who I feel like, I don't know, I think she has like that energy of Babs. I think she could take a pretty small role and do a lot with it.
You are correct. Y'all, this has been actually devastating because every time one of you says an actor, I'm like, no, that's right. That's correct. Like, was it Michelle Yeoh? Obviously. Jane Fonda? Duh. Catherine O'Hara? I think that is Babs. But also, like, Rita Moreno, like, she would murder that role. I'm swayed towards Catherine O'Hara, but other people can fight it out a little bit more.
I'm sorry, you guys, but everyone's picks are too old. Like, actually retirement age, I fear. Michelle Yeoh is 63, and Babs is in her 60s.
Excuse me? I think, what, 70? Are you saying that 70 is too old now? Are we being ageist on this social media channel?
Okay, but, like, I'm pretty sure, like, one of those people was, like, in their 90s.
No, yeah, Jane Fonda is 87.
Not 90, though.
All right, Rita is 93.
She could do it.
She could do anything. No, Catherine O'Hara, okay, 71. Sure. We want to live in the type of world where people do not work into their 70s. Yeah, I'm sorry to say this to you. Allison Janney is 65, and she could do it. She would be great.
I'm sure she could.
While I think she'd be great, I will step back. I will allow for another choice to be made. I'm deeply moved by the age argument, but I gotta tell you, 71 was not that old for Catherine O'Hara. That is where my vote is going.
If it was a man, that would be a very normal age to own a bunch of hotels.
Mm-hmm. Are we sexist also, Yanis?
No, because I would say that the men are too old too. That he also needs to retire.
I know. Do we want anyone working past their 70s? No. I'm still voting for Catherine O'Hara. Is anyone else willing to change their, vote for someone else?
I would say I would be between Catherine O'Hara and Michelle Yeoh. I think those make the most sense to me.
Yeah.
Okay. So for the movie adaptation of The Sylvan Hotel, Babs is two adopted sisters, Michelle Yeoh and Catherine O'Hara, and they run the hotel together. That is how we're going to cast this. This is how we're moving forward. Yeah. Great. Okay, so that's our official fan cast. If you would love to see all of these actors be in a heartfelt coming of age, like will they, won't they, a little romantic movie that I bet you would really love reading it in a book. The Sylvan Hotel comes out on October 22nd. We are going to be doing a bunch of events until then. On August 30th, we're doing Sylvan Summer, where we celebrate blackberries in all its forms in the Genesee Park. On September 21st, we are doing a 90s trivia night at Charlie's Queer Books. And then on October 22nd, you can celebrate the book launch with us at 7 o'clock at Elliott Bay Bookstore. So thanks.